Yeah, Dave, I don't think a whole lot of people realize what goes into a road trip. Could you indulge me and tell me, when you guys take off, you don't have to give me the time, but from takeoff to game time, what goes into that? I think the viewers would like to know, just what the experience is like.
We have our walkthrough, kind of just work backwards from, we want to be at our, I guess you'd say, we want to be at our hotel somewhere around dinner time. So we work backwards from there. So, you work backwards, you got your flight, to Mississippi State. Before the flight, we have a walkthrough and some treatments and meetings. And that's about it. It just depends on how far you're going and whether you're busing or flying. But our Fridays are pretty standard, whether we're at home or away. Difference is a bus ride to the hotel versus bus ride to an airport and a flight.
And then game day, coach. How's game day?
Well, night games are different than early games. You got a lot of time to kill, and so you have a lot of meals, a lot of walkthroughs, pre-game meetings, highlight video we show the guys, and if it's a night game, there'll be some dead time in the middle where the guys will watch college football a little bit.
Alec.
Yeah, Dave, you mentioned earlier this week about having Brian Mitchell, Ruffin McNeil, who have been with Mike Leach before. I was just curious, kind of how much are you able to kind of lean on them and rely on them during the week for film when you do have a guy that's coached under someone you're playing?
It doesn't help as much as you guys talk about it, to be honest. I mean, he's going to call the plays. We got to stop the plays. But, everybody knows what they do. It just, can you stop it? I mean, it's not like he's created this offense that no one's ever seen before. The air raid's been around for 20 years, so there's things you can ask, but at the end of the day, it's still breaking down what they do, teaching it to your guys, and being good enough to stop it.
James?
Yeah, Dave, I think you mentioned you were able to watch some games over the weekend. Did you notice an impact of the crowds in some of those games? Did you really get a sense for that, the environments?
I didn't pay much attention to that. I was reading a story. Maybe it was the Virginia Tech crowd was super loud. It sounded like gave Carolina some problems with their crowd noise. Other than that, I didn't really pay much attention to it.
David?
Hey, Coach. Mississippi State's defense last year and then this first week seemed pretty susceptible to the big play. I mean, does that change what you guys try to do on offense going into this week?
Well, I mean, you study where things have happened. We always watch an explosive play reel to see if there's reoccurring themes, and what defenses give up, and whether it's a certain player that gives up a lot of big plays or a scheme where they're weak at certain points and don't have an answer for it, or, is it the run game, the pass game, bootleg, screens, whatever it is. I mean, we do that for every opponent. And yeah, you're right. In the opener, they struggled with tempo. They struggled with some things, but, I think we're going to see a much better team than we saw in that first game. I think the crowd's going to be really into it being a night game. I think the way we played probably will get their team a little bit more fired up about playing us than who they started the season with, and expect to see a very energetic, improved team than they were. If you watch the fourth quarter, they were a heck of a football team last week, so we'll see.
Mike Solarte.
Thanks, Annabelle. Dave, they say you make the biggest jump between game week 1 and game week 2. You make big jumps in that situation. After last week, you guys started out at a nice place for yourselves with a shutout. How big of a jump are you expecting from your guys this week?
Yeah, I don't know that that's true. I've heard that every year, and it just, I don't know. I mean, I think there's some games where you don't play very well, and there's a ton of things you can get better at. And I also think that your level of competition comes into play. We're going to play a much better team this week than we did last week. And so we may be better at a few things and it may not look like it. It's just, we got to go out there and do the best we can at every player, every position. every phase and be 1% better than we were the week before. That's kind of how we talk about improving. It's one little thing per player. And if 22 players do one thing better than they did a week ago, that's 22%. That'd be a lot of improvement on our field. So, that's kind of how we look at it. It's just one little thing each, and doing that over the course of 12 weeks and a bye week, and then hopefully a postseason, you're a heck of a lot better football team throughout the year.
And if I could follow that up, ACC, SEC talk aside, you just talked about a step up in competition. When players recognize that, I'm sure that's been discussed with your guys, that kind of does set a little bit of an attitude, maybe a focus kind of maybe ramps up as well.
Yeah, they know we're playing a good team, and they're excited about where we're playing. I think a lot's been said about game day there, and just the noise, the fanfare, everything, and that's why the guys play. They want to be in games like that. So we're excited to play a good football team from a very good conference.
C.L. Brown.
Hi, Dave. Just to introduce myself, I'm with the News and Observer. I'm working on kind of a bigger picture story on the impact that COVID has had on college sports, and wanted to get your impression of what are the ways you feel like COVID has changed college sports for forever, or at least for the foreseeable future.
I don't think I can say it's changed it forever, because I don't know what that even means. But it made last year really hard. As far as this year, it's, I think as coaches, we've learned the value of your depth chart. You've learned how fast you can lose regularity and routine. I see a lot of high school teams right now are really struggling here in the state. There's a bunch of games canceled again today for junior varsity teams. So the pandemic's changed our world. Is it a forever thing? I sure hope not. Seems like we're in a much better place this year than we were last year.
And it kind of to that end, does it make you more likely to, get that second or third team player a couple more reps in a week, just for the possibility that they may be thrown into action?
Last year we did that. We had to do that, and we cross-trained players. We had guys playing multiple positions. Right now we're almost 100% vaccinated with double vaccine or 2 shots and all that. So we haven't had any issues here with our team. It's nothing like it was last year. And even our student body, you're not hearing the same type of stuff that we heard a year ago. So, I think there's been a lot more, I guess you'd say, people understanding how to handle it. Maybe more people have had it and they're more protected. I think a lot more people obviously are in the vaccine area, taking care of that to keep themselves safe.
Thanks, Coach.
Mm-hmm.
James, you have another one?
Yeah, Dave, you talked about Drake Thomas's play in the opener. I was wondering, did you see that coming from him out of fall camp? And also, he's entering year 3 in the program. Is there generally a time frame for when you see a player maybe break out during their career?
We definitely had a camp that would lead us to think that he was going to have that type of game and to be honest, that type of season. And he was having a good year last year. He battled a lot of injuries throughout the year and played with pain, and he's put himself in a great place. Second part of your question, I think the second year guy is a starter, which is where he is now, is where you really see them take off. That first year there's a lot of firsts. There's a lot of things going on that are, hard for them, nervous moments, first time things, mood swings of a game. I think they learn a lot after that first year. And usually the second year you see a guy in that role, they start to emerge as a really good player for you.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions for Coach? All right, Coach, thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Dave.